Incredible stuff.
Hello everyone, and welcome to part 1 of this video. This is my last video in the state of Tennessee for a while, so I've made sure to make it a good one. But before we go any further, I would like to say that part 2 is in the description down below, so make sure you watch it after this video. I will also be linking it at the end of this video, so either way make sure you check it out. There is a really interesting turn of events in that video with some of the same snakes that are in this one. But yeah, there's some really incredible snakes and some interesting behavior in here, so I'm sure you guys will love it. But yeah, I will see you guys in the mountains.
Alright guys, first snake of the day is this really nice sort of dark brown, possibly a yellow phase if it was out of shed. Female timber rattlesnake here sitting at the edge of this reindeer moss. The sun is going in and out today, so these snakes are just getting all of the sunlight they can here for this final week of August. At these elevations, these snakes actually are not active past the first week of September because the nighttime temperatures get super low and it's basically like a much earlier fall up here once you get into September. So these snakes go in really early in the year, so they are taking advantage of all of the sunlight that they can get before they make their way down to their winter den sites. But yeah, really nice female timber rattlesnake. Unfortunately, she is still in shed, but still a really cool looking snake. And if you look right here to the left of me, we have a nice large blackface timber rattlesnake. Now I believe this is a male right here. One of my friends that has been monitoring this population for many years has been tracking these two, and he's been finding this blackface male and that same female that I just filmed across from him at random locations along this spur. But they are always just at random clearings. They never really show up in the same spot. So yeah, really cool to see. I'm going to try to squat down here if I can without this big guy seeing me here. As you can see, the male is not in shed, and he really just has a flawless coloration. Nice, big chunky male, seems to be healthy. Probably has a few recent meals in him. These snakes hang out through the last week of July, all through August underneath huckleberry thickets, attempting to catch small birds, rodents if there's any chipmunks up here. Really anything they can get a hold of, because prey items are pretty limited up here at these elevations. But yeah, just a super gorgeous pair of timber rattlesnakes. Cool to see them hanging out here together. And it's cool to see that they move around together along this spur as well and sort of follow each other. Timber rattlesnakes are much more intelligent than people give them credit for. But yeah, really beautiful pair of snakes. I'm just going to keep on hiking this nice high elevation spur here, and we will see what else we can find. I was hiking through a nice little well-shaded area here in this spruce fir forest in between open areas on this spur. I just noticed this beautiful black-faced timber rattlesnake sitting here at the edge of this little moss-covered log. Now, I am positive that this individual is different from the black-faced timber I have seen here before. Not sure about the last one, but this one is an even darker color, kind of more of a rusty brown in between the black coloration. Now that the sunlight is hitting it, it looks a bit lighter, but yeah, really gorgeous snake. This is in situ as found. Again, this is the last week of August, so time is limited up here for these snakes to get the last good sunlight of the season. Just a really gorgeous timber. And again, in a pretty wooded area here. It's sort of at an edge, but there's not much of a clearing here. This is pretty heavily wooded, so cool to see. But I'm going to get some good pictures of this guy here and keep on hiking through this stretch. And once we get into some more open areas, we should be seeing some more timbers if this keeps up. So I'm going to keep on hiking and see what I can find, and I will keep you guys posted. On my way back up, I decided to stop off here and check on the pair of timber rattlesnakes that I found on the way down. And it's only been about 40 minutes since I was up here, and I didn't find any other snakes at the bottom. But as you can see, these individuals have repositioned here as the sun came out. The female is now up here on top of these rocks where she is more exposed. And the male is actually, well, he appears to be absent, but he is actually down here underneath this rock. And I will see if I can get a shot of him here in a minute. But yeah, since we could not see the female very clearly earlier, here she is. And this girl actually looks gravid, and since she has been hanging around that male, I would say she is. So I would say that it's very likely she will be dropping babies right here in this rock crevice later this week. There's some pretty good space up underneath these rocks. Now this isn't a huge outcropping here, but it's a decent little exposed spot for her to bask, and there's some pretty good crevices. So I might come back here one more time if I'm able to before moving, just to see if she has some babies. But yeah, really nice timber rattlesnake. I'm going to drop down here really quickly and see if I can get a shot of the male. First timber of today is this nice individual sitting here in this reindeer moss along this rocky spur. There's a lot of blackface timber rattlesnakes here, and for some reason most of them prefer to cool up and sit in the shade and even bask here in this moss. It must just be really comfortable for them. As you can see here, I'm walking a nice exposed high elevation spur here at the edge of some heavily shaded habitat. So these snakes just come up to bask here throughout the day along the edges here, just like this guy. Again, this is pretty typical for what you see here along this spur, but there are some more open areas just down the road here along this same ridge where you can get a more even mix of color phases and some larger individuals too. But this is pretty typical for high elevation timbers up here at this exact spot. Really gorgeous snake, posed nicely, but I'm just going to get some good pictures of this guy here and keep on hiking, and I'll see what else I can find. And right here we have two more gorgeous timber rattlesnakes. This is at least two here. One of them actually appears to be missing a rattle, whereas the other one has a full rattle. Now these snakes will occasionally go over rough surfaces and knock their rattles off. Then as they shed, they typically get one new button each time. But I'm not sure what's going on here. It almost looks like a pair, and I think it is. I believe I'm actually filming a pair of timber rattlesnakes mating here. This is a very rare sight, something I have never seen. Yep, that's definitely what's going on, and they both have rattles. I was mistaken. The one tail was just hanging over the rock a little bit there, and I couldn't see it. But this is definitely a pair. Now this is at the end of August, so this late in the year, these snakes will actually not be having babies now. They will actually go into hibernation. The female will store the sperm from the male over the winter, and then she will be having those babies at the end of summer next year. Absolutely spectacular. I was not expecting to see this today. I just heard a rattle off in the distance as I was walking up through here, and I knew there was a snake nearby, and I looked over this edge here at this little clearing, and sure enough, we have a pair here. What a rare sight. This is incredible behavior to film. Insanity. I'm loving this. I can't wait to look back at this video. Notice how the tails are connected here. What a sight to see. This late in the year too, at these elevations, typically the last week of August is as late as you see these snakes up here. But they are apparently breeding for the next season. I have actually never seen footage of timber rattlesnakes mating before, so I'm not sure if this is normal, but you see here the male is sort of twitching his head. Incredible stuff. I can't believe I'm catching this on film right now. Okay, I see the female's head now. She is a yellow phase. Really gorgeous snakes. These snakes were not here earlier, so they must have just came out from under this rock as I was hiking down this spur here. What a sight to see. I'm going to get some good pictures of this here, and if they do anything else cool, I will be filming.
And the next timber rattlesnake of the day is this sort of brown phase individual here sitting at the edge of this rock wall. Unfortunately, you can't really see much of him. He appears to have just came out of this crevice right here to bask. You can sort of see the head back there in the grass, but it's probably not going to focus very clearly. I'm just going to keep on walking the edge of this rock wall here, and hopefully we will see some more snakes.
Alright guys, I've been walking around this wall here, and I seen a large female in a crevice, but I wasn't able to get any videos of her. Hopefully she will come out. But right here by this timber that I filmed in the last clip, we have a massive blackface individual here. This is huge for these elevations. Now I only see the front half of this snake here, but it appears to be very long. So I'm going to back off and let it come up top here where this other individual is sitting. You can only see, well, that might not even be the front half, a small portion of it, but it is a very large snake. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to get some pictures and back off, and hopefully he will come up and show his full length. Alright guys, I'm not for certain, but this appears to be another breeding pair here. This black-faced male that is coming up appears to be twitching and doing the head rub that the other pairs were doing. The other pair rather, on the spur. If you look closely, you see his head is twitching. Again, this is the very end of August. I'm not sure why these snakes are doing this. It is one of the warmest days up here this year though, and it is one of the last warm days, so it could just be them, could just be their last run for the year before we get into September. But that appears to be what is going on up here. I really can't believe if this is what's really happening, I can't believe I've filmed not one but two pairs of breeding timbers. I'm going to be extra careful here because I want this big guy to fully come up here so we can see this. Hopefully he will come all of the way up. It's getting really hot now. I'm surprised these snakes are up here basking like this, but as cool as it stays here throughout the year, normally it doesn't get out of the low 70s, so they might actually enjoy these warmer temperatures. And there he goes down over the wall in search of the female. Unfortunately, I will not get to film any courtship of these guys here. As tempting as it is to pull this big guy back up on top of the wall here, I'm not going to do it because that could possibly disrupt the breeding, even though I could get some amazing footage of him and really put this size into perspective. So I'm just going to let him slither down here, and hopefully he finds his female, and we'll have another generation of timbers next year. Beautiful snake, by far the largest one I have seen up here to date. And there he goes.